Put the fun back into driving. Corsa from Vauxhall.
Yeah, we are the fall and we are the best. Yeah, we are the fall and we are the best. Yeah, we are the fall and we are the best.
All right, welcome back to We Are the Fall. I'm Gavin.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. You just threw me off.
Okay, welcome back to We Are the Fall. I'm Gavin.
And I'm Steve.
And today we are going to get into something that only I think the most true fall heads will be interested in diving into. What do we got, Steve?
Post Nearly Man. Spoken word art piece, solo project by Mark Edward Smith, the man himself.
Yeah, the first solo outing for Mr. Marky Smith. And we thought we would start this one off because it is kind of a collage of sorts. We thought it might make a collage of some of the reviews and some of maybe the listeners' experiences in trying to understand what this album is all about. So this first one is from
1998.
1998. And this is from an NME article, and it says, since the New York incident in May, a violent altercation, which, Steve, I'm assuming they're referring to the Brownies show,
I think so.
the little fight between the band where Steve Hanley and pretty much the whole band was not happy. Julia just hanging in there. Mark is missing in action. He has dissolved his affiliation with the longtime fall champion, Stephen Hanley, and struck out on his essentially own for the first time in 17 years. But this does not seem to bother him. Mark has been busy. He's kept his head down, and he's been working chiefly on The Post Nearly Man, a spoken word record of multiple textures, striking bursts of lucid meditation, and familiar obsessions. That and getting the new lineup of The Fall together, along with his partner, Julia Nagel on guitar there, and now Tom, a country and western drummer, and also Karen on bass, who is well respected. Steve, I mean, listening to that kind of description of the album is, it says multiple textures, striking bursts of lucid meditation, and familiar obsessions. I don't disagree with any of that after having listened to this album, but also that is kind of a generous, maybe like overly general description of this album, probably because this author and writer had not heard it. I mean, does that fit your experience?
It fits my experience the exact first time I listened to it.
Okay.
I think I got to the end of it and I was like, oh my goodness, like,
yeah,
wow, Mark is doing what Mark loves, playing with tapes, adding some layers in. Interesting. Like, I was like, oh, if Mark was born 20 years into the future, he would have been a weirdo in his basement making these things every single week. Like, he would have had no friends. This is what he would have been doing on his computer all the time. But then you listen to it a couple more times and the layers kind of dissolve into just kind of noise, uninspired tape work. I don't know.
So I know what you're saying though, and actually I like that because I can definitely see him doing that in a modern context, but I can also see him almost like a radio show, like having his own radio show, and this is the show. This is kind of the dynamic. Him talking to you, but him also playing his tape recorder into the microphone that is like earlier in the day recording of maybe some lines he wrote down, maybe him just goofing off with his buddy, with his mate in the pub and just reading, or maybe him just reading HP Lovecraft, which is all of these things. Maybe him just messing around on a little keyboard. Like that would be a radio show I would just be dying to listen to
Mm.
weekly.
Yeah, perfect for like the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Hmm.
hour.
Hmm.
Like he's been out
Yeah.
all day. He just comes back and he's just got whatever he experienced that
Hmm.
day. He's ready to
Yeah.
let you hear it.
I bet you even sometimes you like tune in and then it's like dead air because he didn't like remember to start up the transistor,
Yeah, he's passed out. He's just maybe some snoring.
But this is I'm with you because the first time I listened to this album, I was really actually before I listened to this album, I just thought from all the descriptions that it was just a spoken word album. And it's far greater than that. It's way more going on than just Mark kind of in a studio talking into a microphone reading out of his journal. It's way more varied.
Way more interesting and varied, but also deceiving because there
Mhm.
really isn't much Mark
Mm.
spoken word on it at all. Like
I
you're like,
know.
oh, spoken word album from Mark, and you're like, there's very little from him that is
Yeah,
just him on his own reading a spoken word. It's a art piece almost. Like
it is.
it's
It
more
is.
other people than it is him.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's that's the interesting thing. And he also it's I wouldn't have guessed that he actually recorded this in any studio, but
No,
but
no.
it said he recorded it in like I guess a well-regarded studio, musician studio. And that's cool too. Maybe like the compiling of all of these things together was what happened in the studio. But let's do another one of these little reviews. One kind of listener fall had that purchased the CD version says it's barmy as a box of frogs, but it is worth it. And that I think that's a good, I mean, I get I don't really know what that means, but I get what that means. And it somehow Smith has referred to this as the cursed album, a record company's idea and recorded in part at Dead or Alive and Kylie Minogue producers Pete Waterman's studio, where the engineers never got it. So they never really got it. It's clumsy, unnecessary, and indulgent, but interesting and altogether listenable. And I think that's one thing, Steve, that's really the key here. It is so listenable, even though it is so vast in the quality of the audio that you're getting. I almost have it like the most fun when I'm listening to this, like just pretending I'm just like within earshot of Mark, kind of having like a day, an excursion. Like he's having the excursion, but I'm kind of like almost on his coattails, like
And
following along, flying
maybe
on the
you're
wall.
yeah, you're his driver.
Mhm.
And
That would be good.
he's like, yeah, come in. No, you got to come in with me just so I know where you are. I like you to be close. And you're just like,
Yeah.
maybe you get a pint or two, but
No,
you gotta
no,
drive
no,
him.
not in the UK, mate. Like if you get more than one pint, it's over. So don't do that. But I like that idea. Yeah. You gotta be following him around. You're kind of, you go run and get a pack of smokes for him. When you come back, he's like, listen to this.
Yeah.
Listen to me, what me and this guy that I just met in the pub just recorded. But isn't it so I also like this album now that I've listened to it and found it and enjoyed it. I think this is gonna be the album I listen to, like, on the anniversary of Mark's passing. I think this is a good album to listen to. Not only is it, like it's not a fall album, even though, of course, there's fall aspects to it, but I mean, Julia's on it, but it's like the most Mark thing that could possibly exist. And it's only because it's like he had the full reign. I don't think he had anyone saying no to him. The record company probably said no when they heard it. They
Yeah,
probably
I
like,
was gonna say it's unartful.
yeah,
So only on CD. There's a bunch of
yeah.
reissues in 2020 that look interesting.
There's a big call for. I think there's a reissue. I mean, there's a vinyl version, but
Yeah, the reissue has some.
yeah, but there is a call for from all the reviews I've been reading. There's a lot of listeners that like it, that just like us, that would prefer it on vinyl, and I think that is actually kind of a cool way to listen to it if possible. We don't have that luxury, but I think it would be a nice way if it's a rainy day, throw that. It's the anniversary of his passing. Light a candle, throw that sucker on,
Did
have a glass of whatever, and
did
take in.
did you progress to the Panda Panzer? The next
Mm-mm.
one?
Nope, nope,
I haven't
nope.
messed.
I'm saving that one. I'm saving that one. I've got to. I also had to focus so hard on this one, so I don't want to jump the gun and make the comparisons that are
No,
not
yeah,
necessary.
it's never fair.
No, it's not fair. Here's another one for you, Steve. This is from a guy named Scott McFarland, and this is a review entitled Truly Horrible. I am a big fan of Smith and the Fall, one of the great rock and roll bands ever. But this album, which strips the garage rock trappings away from his somewhat pretentious poetic ramblings, is truly horrible. Definitely, this is one of the worst and least musical projects ever committed to record, reminding me only of Robert Wyatt's unbelievably bad The End of an Ear. Guess how many stars?
4.
He had to give it one.
Well,
Yeah,
no. If I then a comment, if I could give it, I wish I could give it 0.
yeah, that's usually what is followed up on that. Oh man. I mean, I could also see that perspective though from the Fall Army, and that is the Fall Army kind of perspective generally. I think when it's not like a fall sounding fall album, and this one doesn't even have the fall name on it, so I don't know what this guy
Yeah,
was expecting.
exactly. Right.
If
I,
he saw Marky Smith on the cover, he should have known there's going to be something askew immediately, so in a perverse way.
it's tough. Pascal Legras did the artwork. You just never know. It's all, if it's
Mm-mm.
Pascal, you just assume.
That's true, actually. I we didn't even think about that, which we'll get into. How about this one, Steve? For fall completists only. Or, as it were, for those who thought the fall had become too slick or predictable by 1998. And this is actually referring to another reviewer's comment above him. It says, because the fall had become too slick and predictable in 1998, this album exists. But here's what he says. At the time, for anyone interested in Smith's time in recuperation following the group's implosion earlier that year, it's okay. In a multi-layered cut-up spoken word, plenty cryptic with tinny accompaniment sort of way. Features other voices besides Mark, but mostly Mark, and lots of him. The ranting acrobatic, poetic meter gets stuck in your head easier than a fall song, maybe because he sounds less drunk than when he is not singing. Actually, he still sounds pretty drunk.
Yeah, I think this will finish it off, and then I think we just need to let it
Yeah.
ride.
Mm-hmm.
So we got, there's another half hour or so bits and pieces on this CD, pretty much all of which is difficult to digest, let alone pretend to be entertained by. Even the most patient Fall fans among you will struggle to find any real coherence in anything Smith has written much of the time. At some points, he's even reading out the punctuation, as if it gives this any real structure. Smith seems to delight in being difficult, and it is like he loves the deliberately impenetrable qualities the post-Nearly Man offers. On paper, recording should be of great interest to Fall fans. Something to lend a closer working of the thought processes that power many of Mark's lyrics. In reality, It's pretty frustrating for fall completists only. And even then, they should approach with caution.
Yeah, I think okay, that's a good way to get into it. So strap in, buckle up, because we're heading into Marquis Smith's 1998 solo album, The Post Nearly Man. And if you're, if you're not on Patreon, get on it, mate, because we're about to get into this sucker. Let's hit it off with The Horror in Clay.
The most merciful thing in the world is man's inability to correlate all of his mind's contents. But the sciences one day, some say it is already upon us, will eventually open up such terrifying vistas of reality that we'll either go mad from the revelation or flee into blissful sleep, peace, and safety of another new dark age. I'm Mark Edward Smith. These words are H.P. Lovecraft's. We give you The Horror in Clay.